You're not missing. You're just forgettable. That's the diagnosis you've been running from. You think presence builds power. You're wrong. Your constant availability is the exact mechanism destroying your value. Every text you answer immediately. Every invitation you accept. Every moment you're accessible. You're teaching people you're cheap. Here's what you don't understand about scarcity and human desire. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince that men are so simple and so subject to present necessities that he who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived. You've been deceiving yourself. You believe loyalty comes from proximity. It doesn't. Respect comes from absence. The moment you become predictable, you become furniture. Furniture doesn't command attention. It gets used. Your weakness isn't laziness, it's omnipresence. You've made yourself a utility instead of an event. You answer every call like a servant waiting for orders. You show up to every gathering like you're afraid of being forgotten. That fear? It's creating the exact outcome you're trying to avoid. The more present you are, the more invisible you become. This is the paradox of social power you failed to grasp. Thesis: your constant availability is not generosity, it's strategic suicide. Here's what the next 12 minutes will teach you. First, the psychological architecture of scarcity and why your brain is hardwired to value what's rare. Second, the operational mechanics of a 30-day disappearance and what happens in the power vacuum you create. Third, the dark return protocol, how to re-emerge with maximum impact. Fourth, the social surgery required before you vanish. Fifth, how to weaponize the narrative during your absence. Sixth, the threshold test that reveals who actually values you. Seventh, the identity transformation that makes the void strategy permanent power. Stay until the end, because the final principle exposes why most people fail this strategy in week 2 and what that failure reveals about their core weakness. Let's begin. Principle 1, the scarcity algorithm built into human psychology. Your brain doesn't value what it has. It values what it might lose. This isn't philosophy, this is neuroscience. The amygdala responds to scarcity with heightened attention. Dopamine spikes not when you possess something, but when you anticipate possessing something. Possession creates familiarity. Familiarity breeds contempt, not hatred, something worse. Indifference. You want to know why people took you for granted. You eliminated the anticipation. You made yourself a guaranteed outcome, and guaranteed outcomes don't trigger reward circuitry. They trigger habituation. The brain literally stops seeing you. This is called cognitive adaptation, and it's killing your social leverage. Think about the fox and the vineyard. The fox wants the grapes because they're high up, out of reach. The moment they fall to the ground, no longer desirable. Same grapes, different context. Scarcity changes context. Scarcity changes context. And context changes everything. Machiavelli understood this at the molecular level. He wrote, "The wish to acquire is in truth very natural and common, and men always do so when they can." Notice the word acquire, not possess, not maintain. Acquire. The hunt matters more than the kill. You've been lying on the ground like fallen grapes, wondering why nobody wants you. Here's the tactical deployment. Stop explaining yourself. Stop updating people on your whereabouts. Stop filling silence with your voice. Silence is not empty. It's a vacuum that pulls attention toward it. Create information asymmetry. Know where they are. Don't let them know where you are. This imbalance creates psychological tension. Tension creates curiosity. Curiosity creates value. Ask yourself this question. When was the last time someone wondered about you? If you can't answer immediately, you've already lost the game. You've been too available to inspire wonder. Wonder requires mystery. Mystery requires absence. Absence is the void strategy. But here's what happens when you disappear without preparation. Chaos, and not the productive kind. Which brings us to Principle 2. Principle 2, the 30-day operational architecture. Disappearing is surgery, not suicide. You don't just vanish and hope for the best. That's amateur hour. That's emotional reactivity disguised as strategy. Real absence is engineered. It has infrastructure. It has exit protocols. It has checkpoints. Here's the timeline. Week 1, observation and documentation. You're mapping the battlefield before you leave it. Who contacts you daily? Who only reaches out when they need something? Who initiates versus who responds? Write this down. This data becomes your post-absence analysis tool. Week 2, strategic reduction. Cut your availability by 50%. Don't announce it. Just do it. Respond to every other message. Show up to half your usual commitments. Watch who notices. Watch who complains. The complainers have revealed something critical. They need you more than they value you. Remember that. Week 3, the pre-absence positioning. This is where most people fail. They disappear with no explanation and wonder why people assume they died or got arrested. Wrong. You plant seeds, vague statements about focusing on a project or entering a growth phase. Nothing specific. Specificity kills mystery. Vagueness creates narrative space for people to fill with their imagination. Week 4, total blackout. No social media, no texts, no appearances. You become a ghost. But here's the critical part. You're not idle. You're building, learning a skill, reading 12 books, training your body, creating something. The absence only has power if you return transformed. If you come back the same person, you've wasted everyone's time, including yours. Count to 3 right now. 1, 2, 3. That's how long people will think about your absence before returning to their lives. Unless you've built enough value beforehand. Unless you've created enough curiosity. Unless you've left gaps they can't fill with anyone else. This is where the wolves separate from the hyenas. Wolves hunt alone when necessary. They're comfortable in isolation because they know their worth. Hyenas need the pack for validation. They panic when separated. They break the silence because they can't tolerate being unseen. Tactical execution. Delete social apps from your phone. Not just logged out, deleted. Turn off read receipts. Set email to check once weekly. Tell no one your exact location. If someone asks where you've been, the only acceptable answer is, I needed to step back. Nothing more. No justification, no apology, no explanation that sounds like weakness. But what about the people who actually matter? What about the relationships you want to keep? That's the surgical precision of Principle 3. Principle 3. Social triage before the void. Not everyone deserves a goodbye. Most people don't even deserve a warning. Here's the uncomfortable truth about your social circle. 70% of them are transactional. 20% are circumstantial. 10% are foundational. You've been treating everyone equally. That's the problem. Equal treatment of unequal people creates resentment in the valuable and entitlement in the parasites. Before you disappear, you need to perform triage. Military field medics don't save everyone. They save who can be saved and who's worth saving. Your relationships require the same brutal assessment. Category 1. Energy vampires. These are people who only contact you when they need emotional labor, resources, or validation. They take and reframe it as friendship. You know exactly who they are. You've been lying to yourself about them for months, maybe years. These people get no warning. They discover your absence through silence. Let them. Category 2. Circumstantial connections. Work colleagues. Gym acquaintances. People you're friendly with but not friends with. These people get a polite but vague explanation. Taking some time for personal growth. That's it. No details. They don't need them. They won't remember them. Category 3. Foundational relationships. Parents, siblings, true friends, romantic partners. These people get honesty, but not weakness. You tell them what you're doing and why. I need 30 days of isolation to reset. I'll be fine. I'll reach out when I'm ready. Firm. Clear. No negotiation. Here's what Machiavelli knew about loyalty. Benefits should be conferred gradually, and in that way they will taste better. You've been conferring benefits constantly. You've diluted their value. When you return, each interaction will taste like a reward instead of an expectation. Think of the lion in the savannah. The lion doesn't hunt every day. It rests, conserves energy. The gazelles don't forget the lion exists during the rest period. They fear it more. Absence doesn't erase threat, it amplifies it, because now they can't track you. Tactical implementation. Create a tiered contact list. Group 1 gets a personal conversation. Group 2 gets a message. Group 3 gets nothing. If you feel guilty about Group 3, that guilt is your weakness signaling. Guilt is just fear of other people's opinions weaponized against your own interests. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." You've been chasing love through availability. Now you're choosing respect through scarcity. One more thing. The people who get angry about your absence, they've just identified themselves. Anger means they viewed you as a resource they could control. Disappointment is normal. Anger is entitled. Remember the difference. So you've done the triage, you set the timeline. Now comes the hardest part, maintaining the void while they test you. Principle FOR, the silence protocol and resistance testing. They will test you. Count on it. Day 5, hey, haven't heard from you. You good? Day 12, seriously, where are you? Day 18, I'm actually worried now. Day 25, okay, this is weird. Each message is a probe. They're testing the perimeter of your resolve. This is where 90% of people break. They see worry and interpret it as love. Wrong. Most worry is just discomfort with uncertainty. They're not concerned for you. They're concerned about the narrative gap you created in their life. Here's the dark truth about human attention. People don't miss you. They miss what you did for them. They miss the validation you provided, the entertainment, the emotional labor, the social proof of having you around. When they reach out, they're not checking on your well-being. They're checking if you're still available for use. The silence protocol is simple. You respond to nothing, not emergencies, not birthdays, not "I miss you" messages designed to trigger your guilt. Nothing. Because the moment you break silence, you've reset the timer to 0. You've taught them that persistence works, that your boundaries are negotiable, that absence was a bluff they could call. Machiavelli warned, men are less hesitant about harming someone who makes himself loved than one who makes himself feared. You made yourself loved through constant availability. Now you're becoming feared through strategic absence. Fear here doesn't mean terror. It means respect. It means unpredictability. It means they can't take you for granted. Think about information asymmetry. In poker, the player with hidden information has the advantage. You've been playing with your cards face up. Every emotion visible, every schedule public, every thought posted online. Now you're playing with your hand hidden. They can't read you. They can't predict you. They can't predict you. They can't manipulate you. Resistance testing patterns to expect. Anger, you're being selfish. Translation, your boundaries inconvenience me. Guilt, I thought we were friends. Translation, I thought I controlled you. Manipulation, something bad could happen and you wouldn't know. Translation, I'm creating hypothetical emergencies to break your resolve. Replacement, they post about doing things with other people. Translation, they're trying to make you jealous so you return. Watch these patterns. Document them. They're revealing who people truly are when they can't access you. This is the threshold test. The trial by fire. The people who respect your silence are showing you they value your autonomy over their convenience. Keep them. The people who violate your silence repeatedly, they're showing you they view you as property, not a person. Count your resistance tests. If someone tests you more than 3 times, they've failed. They don't get the upgraded version of you post-void. They get the same boundary you're enforcing now, distance. But here's what's happening while you maintain silence. The narrative is writing itself, and you need to control it before it controls you. Principle 5. Controlling the narrative. During absence, you're not there, but your story is. Here's what people do when you disappear. They fill the void with speculation. Maybe they're depressed, probably met someone new. I bet they're angry at me. They're probably broke and embarrassed. The human brain hates uncertainty. It will create stories to eliminate the discomfort. Your job isn't to prevent speculation. That's impossible. Your job is to seed the speculation before you leave. This is narrative architecture. You're building the frame through which people interpret your absence. Pre-void, you drop breadcrumbs. You talk about major transitions coming. You mention difficult but necessary decisions. You reference focusing on what actually matters, vague, ominous, positive enough to avoid concern, mysterious enough to create intrigue. During the void, silence does the heavy lifting. But here's the advanced move: strategic third-party information. One trusted person who knows a curated version of your absence. Not the full picture, never the full picture. Just enough to leak controlled information when people ask. They're working on something big. They needed space to focus. They're doing really well, actually. This is what intelligence agencies call a cutout, a layer between you and scrutiny. This person isn't lying. They're providing the truth you've given them, but you've shaped that truth for strategic effect. You're not hiding in shame. You're building in purpose. Perception shifts from what's wrong with them to what are they building, Machiavelli teaches. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Right now, you're controlling appearance while protecting reality. They see focused absence. They don't see the books you're reading, the skills you're building, the identity you're forging. That's reserved for the return. Think about shadow and light. Artists use negative space to define form. You're using absence to define your shape. The void isn't emptiness, it's definition. It's the contrast that makes your return visible. Narrative control tactics. Before leaving, post something cryptic but purposeful, not attention-seeking. Something like stepping back to level up. See you on the other side. Then nothing. If you have a cutout, give them 3 authorized statements. They're focusing on personal development. They're in a good place mentally. They'll be back when they're ready. That's it. No elaboration. Delete nothing from your social media. Deletion signals shame or escape. Your old content stays. It's evidence of who you were. The absence is evidence of who you're becoming. The contrast writes the story for you. And here's the psychological warfare element. If people gossip about you, your cutout drops this. They know people are talking. They don't care. Indifference to gossip signals power. Defensiveness signals weakness. You're not defending. You're not explaining. You're building. So the 30 days are passing. The narrative is controlled. The tests have been sorted. Now the question becomes, what are you actually doing in the void? Because if you're just hiding, you've wasted everything. Principle 6. The transformation mandate absence without transformation is just cowardice with a timer. This is where the strategy lives or dies. You can disappear perfectly, control the narrative flawlessly, maintain silence with surgical precision. But if you return as the same person, you've accomplished nothing except a month-long tantrum. The void is not a break. It's a forge. You're either being refined or you're just hiding from consequences. The difference is measured in what you build while you're gone. Here's the harsh arithmetic of personal transformation. 30 days is 720 hours. Sleep takes 240. That leaves 440 hours of conscious time. If you waste it on distraction, you don't deserve the power the void could have given you. If you invest it in focused development, you return as someone unrecognizable. What does focused development mean? Specificity, not "I'll get in shape." No, I'll train 6 days a week following a structured program, tracking every metric. Not "I'll read more." No, I'll finish 12 books on power, psychology, and philosophy, taking notes on each. Not "I'll work on my business." No, I'll build a complete system for revenue generation with measurable milestones. Vagueness is the language of people who don't actually want to change. Precision is the language of people engineering a new identity. Machiavelli knew that where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great. You've spent your life waiting for the perfect conditions to transform. The void is the condition, no excuses, no distractions, no one watching, just you and the person you're choosing to become. Think about the snake shedding skin. It's not comfortable, it's not pretty. The snake retreats vulnerable, while the old skin tears away. But it doesn't shed halfway. It doesn't keep part of the old skin because it feels safe. It commits fully to emergence. You're the snake. The void is the shedding. Commitment is total, or it's nothing. Transformation, infrastructure. Week 1, audit. List every weakness, every bad habit, every unfinished project. This is painful. Do it anyway. You can't fix what you won't name. Week 2, system building. Create structures for the person you're becoming. Wake-up time, training protocol, reading schedule, creation time. Systems eliminate decisions. Decisions drain willpower. Week 3, execution under isolation. No one's watching, no one's praising. You do the work because the work matters, not because it gets attention. This is where you discover if you're internally or externally motivated. Week 4, integration and evidence. Take photos, track metrics, document changes. This evidence becomes social proof during your return. You need to return with visible transformation, not just internal peace. Visible, physical, demonstrable. People respond to evidence, not claims. You can tell them you've changed, or you can show them a body that's leaner, a mind that's sharper, a project that's launched, a skill that's marketable. Ask yourself, what can I show, not tell? If you can't answer with specifics, you're not ready for the void. You're just running. But now the clock is running out. Day 30 approaches, and you need to understand the return protocol, because how you come back determines whether the absence mattered. Triple 7. The dark return protocol. Your return is not an apology, it's a reveal. Day 30. You've maintained silence. You've transformed. You've controlled the narrative. Now comes the moment that determines if you won or wasted time. The return. Here's what you don't do. You don't flood back online with explanations. You don't apologize for the absence. You don't try to pick up where you left off. All of those moves signal that the absence was a mistake you're correcting. Wrong. The absence was strategy. The return is the payoff. The dark return protocol is simple but precise. You come back changed, selective, and scarce, not as available as before, more valuable than before. You've trained people to miss you. Now you train them to earn you. First contact should be visual if possible. A photo showing transformation, the post demonstrating new capability, not bragging, just evidence. The caption is minimal, back, or built, or nothing at all. The image speaks, words dilute. Then you respond selectively. The people who respected your silence get priority. The people who bombarded you with tests, delayed responses, or none at all. You're rebuilding your social hierarchy based on who passed the threshold test. This isn't revenge. It's resource allocation. Time is finite. Invest it where it's valued. Machiavelli instructs, the prince must nonetheless make himself feared in such a way that, if he is not loved, at least he escapes being hated. You're not chasing love through availability anymore. You're commanding respect through selective presence. Some people will hate this. Good. Their hatred is proof you stopped being their servant. Think about the phoenix myth. The bird doesn't return from ashes as the same phoenix. It's reborn, new fawn, new fire. The ashes represent what you burned away: neediness, availability, weakness. What rises is refined, scarcer, more powerful. Return execution tactics. Day 30. Return with evidence, not explanation. Post-transformation markers. Then go quiet again for 24 hours. Let the image circulate. Let people wonder if you're fully back or still distant. Day 31. Respond to the top-tier relationships first. Personal messages, quality conversation. Show them they matter more because they acted like you mattered. Day 32 onward. New boundaries become permanent. You're not returning to old patterns. The void taught you which behaviors destroyed value. You've eliminated them. If people ask, "Why did you disappear?" your answer is, "I needed to build something, and I did." No apology. No justification. Just fact. If they push for more, you change the subject. Your absence is not a topic open for debate. It's a decision that's already made and passed. And here's the power move that solidifies everything. Within 1 week of return, you deliver something valuable. A skill you learned, a project you built, help you can offer from your new capabilities. This converts absence from selfish to strategic. You didn't leave to escape. You left to upgrade. Now you're sharing the upgrade. People will talk. They're different. Something changed. They're not as available anymore. Let them talk. Their observation is your victory. You successfully reframed your value. You're no longer the person who's always there. You're the person worth waiting for. One final warning before we close. The void strategy has a failure mode, and it's critical you understand it. Final synthesis. The void made permanent. Here's what separates mastery from mimicry. Most people do this once. They disappear for 30 days, return transformed, then slowly slide back into old patterns. Within 90 days, they're just as available, just as predictable, just as forgettable as before. The void becomes a temporary fix instead of a permanent upgrade. The real power isn't the disappearance. It's the scarcity mindset that makes strategic absence sustainable. You've learned that your presence has value. That value diminishes with oversupply. Now you maintain that lesson forever. This doesn't mean you disappear every month. That's not strategy, it's pattern. It means you remain selectively available. You guard your time like it's the only currency that matters, because it is. You say no without guilt. You create space between yourself and others. You make people earn access instead of giving it freely. Let me tell you what happens if you ignore this. You'll return to being furniture. People will take you for granted again. You'll wonder why the respect you earned dissolved, and it's because respect without boundaries is temporary. Boundaries without enforcement are suggestions. You'll have wasted 30 days proving you can transform while refusing to maintain the transformation. Machiavelli's final lesson: men nearly always follow the tracks made by others and proceed in their affairs by imitation. Most people are following tracks. Predictable, trackable, controllable. You're not most people anymore. You've learned to disappear, transform, and return as someone who can't be tracked or predicted or taken for granted. The void isn't a 30-day event. It's a 30-day training program for lifetime scarcity. You're learning to value yourself more than others' comfort, to prioritize your development over their expectations, to understand that absence isn't abandonment, it's preservation of value. Count the relationships you have right now. How many would survive if you enforced boundaries? How many are built on your overavailability? Those numbers should terrify you, because they reveal how much of your life is structured around other people's convenience instead of your own growth. The transformation promise is this: 30 days of strategic absence will reveal who values you versus who uses you. It will force you to build something instead of just existing. It will teach you that scarcity creates value and omnipresence destroys it. You will return with clarity about who deserves your time and who deserves your absence. But here's the consequence of inaction. If you don't do this, nothing changes. You remain predictable, available, forgettable. The people taking you for granted will continue because you've never shown them you're willing to leave. The version of yourself you could become stays theoretical. The respect you want remains something other people have, but you lack. Ask yourself this final question: do you want to be chosen, or do you want to be taken for granted? Your answer determines everything. Here's your action protocol. Within 48 hours, perform social triage. Identify who gets warned and who gets silence. Within 1 week, begin strategic reduction. Within 2 weeks, enter the void. 30 days later, return transformed. Then enforce the boundaries permanently. If you're ready to stop being furniture and become an event, hit subscribe. You're going to need the next 12 videos to maintain what you built. This is just the foundation. Drop a comment below. Write, "I Beckham scarce." Let me see who's actually ready to implement versus who's just consuming content. The wolves write the comment. The hyenas just nod and stay the same. The void is waiting. The only question is whether you have the discipline to enter it and the strength to sustain what it teaches you. Your absence is your power. Use it.